I'm Stacey Holmes, and this is Glordinary, a few moments where we celebrate God's glory and champion the ordinary. I'm glad you're here. Did you have a childhood chore you didn't particularly love? Shoot, do you have adult chores you don't particularly love? Yep, I see that hand. When my sister Steph and I were young, we were on dinner dishes duty. Now, Steph was always in a hurry to get the dishes done because her favorite TV show was coming on, Buck Rogers, baby, and she just had to watch it. I was never in a hurry to do my chores. Life was far too short to waste it on washing dishes, blah. So she'd scrub and scrub the dishes, lay them in the adjacent sink for me to rinse and stack them in the drying rack. Except I was far too busy playing, reading, or forcing our cats into doll clothes. So my side of the sink remained full of clean, but now soap-crusted dishes. We'd get a talking to from Dad or Mom, and back to the sink we'd go to clean the dishes again. Well, again for my sister. Hey, am I even a younger sister if I do my fair share of the chores? But I may have possibly scarred Steph with some of those caked-on dishes. So I was not at all surprised this summer when I was chatting with Steph one afternoon. She was grocery shopping, and we often will put our ears in with our AirPods, and we'll shop together as we knock out that household chore. And she was chatting about some of the difficult challenges she was wrestling through when all of a sudden, in the middle of the grocery store, she busts out with, "I think I'm going to treat myself to some crock-pot liners." Treat yourself to some crock-pot liners? Oh, sissy, we have got to get you out more. But hey, now that you know the Buck Rogers backstory, it totally tracks, right? Actually, it did track because my sister and I had been talking about hard stuff, the gunky, junky, not so fun aspects of just all the things. And sometimes those are the moments in life where joy feels a little AWOL. So we were chatting about how to plan joy amidst the junk, the micro joys amidst the macro junk, hence the micro joy of a crockpot liner. It made me laugh, but honestly, life is kind of like a crockpot many times, and the purpose of those plastic crockpot liners is to save yourself from some of the cleanup. The hard, caked-on grubbiness of crusty potatoes or hardened cheese, blech, what a hassle. You either have to get in there and elbow grease that sucker, let it sit and soak, or treat yourself to some crockpot liners. And as we've shared our cups of hot cocoa or joe during our Advent Remembers series, we've talked about hope and peace. But today, let's slow cook a conversation about joy, because joy can be hard to find with all the caked-on challenges of life, especially in this season of life. And let's be honest, joy helps all that stuck-on junk to stick a little bit less. So how do we find joy sometimes? Plan for joy. See the micro joys amidst the macro junk of life. Is it really in a crockpot liner? Well, maybe. But the Gospel of John introduces joy outside of the crockpot. Now, you've heard me say it here before, but the Apostle John's Gospel is unique from the others. John's a thematic writer. He writes based on themes, and he kicks off his Gospel straight out of the gate with a bold claim. Jesus is the real deal. Jesus is God in the flesh. He's the Messiah. He's the one. He's the guy. He really is who he says he is. So John's going to keep this theme rolling right into chapter 2 with the very first miracle of Jesus in the one place that should be joy on steroids, a wedding. Take a listen to John chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. On the third day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee, and Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, "They have no more wine." They have no more wine. Now, this isn't just a little tidbit to the story. This is about to be the story, the headline on this disastrous day. You see, a first-century Palestinian wedding makes our modern-day American weddings look kinda chintz, which is really saying something. A wedding in Jesus' day could easily last for an entire week. A week. Can you imagine feeding, housing, just the sheer logistics of daily living for all of your closest friends, family, your neighbors for a week? The expense, the headache. And if you're an introvert, dang, you just better pray for the stomach flu to get you out of that nightmare scenario. What makes it even more fun is that if you, as the host, happen to run out of food or drink, you could face legal charges. Look, I'll be the first to admit, I do get a smidge grumpy if a wedding doesn't afford me a proper piece of cake. Just stop with this whole cupcake propaganda. But I'd never sue the bride and groom. That's hardcore. So when Mama Mary comes to Jesus and says, they have no more wine, it's a big deal. Real big. But you see, friend, it isn't just the physical wine that's the issue. Throughout the Bible, wine is symbolic for, wait for it, joy. They have no more wine. They have no more joy. So what was supposed to be the happiest day, a week, of their lives is about to get real bad. Honeymoon's over before we even get there. They have no more joy. Ever been there? There now? Yeah, I get that. Oh, but Jesus. Listen to the rest of the story. Woman, why do you involve me? Jesus replied, my hour's not yet come. His mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. Nearby stood 6 stone water jars, the kind used by the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. And Jesus said to the servants, fill the jars with water. So they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet. They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servant who had drawn the water knew. And then he called the bridegroom aside and said, everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best till now. What Jesus did here in Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. Oh, friend, I need about a whole month of our coffee talks to really get into this story, dig around, and have some fun. But here's what the Apostle John would want us to know about how to find joy amidst the junk of life. Number 1, Jesus goes where he's invited. Verse 2 told us Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding, and Jesus goes where he's invited. So invite him into all the spaces and all the places. Invite him into the hard, the joyless, the changes, the shifts, the drama, the chaos, the stress, the pain, the celebrations too. Invite him in. He'll go. He'll accept the invite. You won't even have to chase him down for an RSVP. Jesus goes where he's invited. Number 2, when Jesus is invited, anything can happen. Why? Well, he is God, so there's that. But also, Jesus is deeply committed to joy. Real joy. Not situational, circumstantial happiness. No, joy. The word says in verse 7, the servants filled those stone jars to the brim, which in the original language means above the brim, because Jesus is deeply committed to over-the-top joy. Not prudish joy, responsible joy, respectful and introspective joy, or what culture would call Christian joy. No, real joy. Good, clean, fun joy, giddy, excited joy, belly laugh joy, wet your pants joy, delicious wedding cake joy, Christmas morning joy, Sabbath joy, able to sleep at night joy. Jesus is deeply committed to over-the-top joy. And if you're not feeling it, take a deep breath, because there is no shortage of supply, my friend. Like the master of ceremonies said, everyone brings out the choice wine first, then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you've saved the best till now, because when Jesus is invited, anything can happen. And why? Number 3, because like John tells us in chapter 1 of his gospel, Jesus is who he says he is. He's the real deal. He's the real wine, the real joy, because life without Christ is life without joy, real joy. Verse 11 tells us what Jesus did here in Cana of Galilee was the first of the signs through which he revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. He revealed who he was, is, and forever will be, because Jesus is who he says he is. He is hope. He is peace. He is joy. And he never shows up empty-handed. So like Mama Mary told the servants in verse 5, do whatever he tells you. Let's take our cue from Mary, even if that means treating yourself to some quote-unquote crockpot liners, so the stuck-on junk of this world doesn't stick so much. So I leave you with Jesus' words in John 15:11, my friend. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete. Remember, you're not alone in this. I'm praying for you, friend. Have a glordinary day.